backwards, forwards, they're counting down in the stands, and the Broncos are back on top. A three-peat from 2018 to 2020. They are your NRLW Premiers again. And these aren't celebrations. These are frustrations after full time.
Well, take nothing away from the feisty finish. The Brisbane Broncos have come out with their fourth premiership in what's arguably the best competition we've ever seen in women's rugby league. And the Roosters, the undefeated minor premiers, are now defeated.
Yeah, what a cracking game. Great result in the end. The Brisbane Broncos battered Roosters. They fought to the end. But what a grand final for 2025.
A flare-up after full time. This has been the biggest NRLW Premiership, yes. It's been the best, and maybe it's given us the most gripping of the 8 grand finals. It's been won by Ali Brigginshaw, Tamika Upton and the Broncos. They've scored 4 tries to 3. Brisbane 22 beat the Roosters 18 to seal the 2025 crown.
The Broncos are your NRLW Premiers for the first time since 2020. They capture a 4th title, their first since the competition expanded. The Roosters' unbeaten run ends on grand final day. Taylor Preston, Kira Dibb and Yasmin Clydesdale. This is what we wanted, and we absolutely got more than we bargained for. The game had absolutely everything. What a grand final we just witnessed, Kira.
I cannot believe how close that was and how it came to the end. I do think it's a good summary of the season that they both produced.
Yeah.
But damn, yeah, it really came down to those last minutes.
And you know what it means to them when at full time it bubbles over. These two teams are filled with ultimate competitors. Yeah, as you can see, the emotion of what it means to win and to lose one.
Yeah, definitely. It was a true battle, I feel, and the momentum swing was crazy. It was going Roosters the whole first of that second half, and then the Broncos did so well to fight back and claim the win. 5 minutes to go. Maddie Russell said it there, Taylor. This is probably the best decider we've had in the women's game, and justifiably so, given we had it was 1v2. The quality, but the bravery that we saw from a lot of the players out there. The Roosters were 12-0 down and looked for all money that this was going to be a really hard day for them. But such is the champion side that they have. John Strange clearly had the right intent and the right message to get them well and truly back into this.
Yeah, definitely. What a showcase of women's rugby league. And, you know, we've seen 2 of the best teams go head-to-head today. And, you know, Roosters had so much adversity, not only just this year, but in this game. You know, in the dying minutes, we saw 3 of their superstar players, you know, get injuries. And, you know, you probably saw the bruises and swollen faces out there. But, you know, you've got to give it to them. They had all class in terms of turning up for each other and gave it everything they could. And I think that's, you know, all John Strange could ask for. But, you know, at the end of the day, the Broncos just stepped up in those dying minutes and took advantage of the opportunities they had. And like Yaz said, you know, it was a game of momentum. Momentum swings, and it can do a funny thing in rugby league. But, you know, what a great grand final and a showcase of women's rugby league.
The injuries that happened to the Roosters in the final 5 minutes were truly, well, quite horrific, actually, and it felt like the momentum was going to swing in favour of the Broncos. If we look at the winning try, what an effort it was from Mele Hufanga. Her first half was sensational, but to do what she did to break Roosters' hearts, it was oh so close and such a huge effort. It looked like it was going to be from the Roosters to almost deny her.
Yeah, I thought Koenig had just done enough to hold her up over that line, but again, you give a little bit of space to Mele and she'll take it, and she definitely showed some desperation to get that ball over the line. When you look at what Mele did across the whole game, I'm sure that there'll be moments there that she'll be like, what is happening? Because first half, absolute rock star. Then the Roosters really went after her straight after half-time. But to have that response is enormous.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a big arm wrestle of a match. And I think Mele in particular, like you said, had a massive first half and then got caught out a couple times on that try from Bridie Parker. Charged her down the wing and then obviously comes back, and big players step up in big moments, and she did exactly that.
So what will this mean as we look at the full-time highlights? And we can see what it means to Scott Prince. But the Broncos being the premiers, we talked about it in the pre-game. There was a lot of pressure and hype on them this season. They came in great form into this grand final. The Roosters had a lot of adversity thrown their way. but it felt like all the momentum was with them and that really the pressure was on them to win this thing.
Yeah, I think so too. I feel like having their spine unchanged throughout the whole season adds that little bit of pressure because, as you said, Roosters did have adversity to overcome, but I don't know, when it comes to those key moments, the key players stepped up for the Broncos and it really showed in those last 5 minutes.
This was such an amazing moment for Bridie Parker. She had a head knock in the first half. The Roosters were all at sea because their spine was rejigged. She comes on in the second half and really had a wow of an impact.
Yeah, definitely. I think that shows Bridie's resilience as a player. I think, I guess it's easy to be a bit rattled and, be a bit shocked when you're getting subbed off from HIA early on. But, for her to get back out there and bounce back and, play in a 5'8" position she's probably not familiar with, and run away and burn those players down the sideline, I think, that's not an easy task to do. And she stepped up there and it's an unreal.
What a moment for Shalom Sauer.
Firstly, I'd like to thank Telstra and the NRL. What a performance, what a crowd we had there. I know there were some Roosters out there, but thanks to the Bronx Nation out there. Strangey and the Roosters, what a game. I know that you faced some adversity there with so many injuries, but you just showed how truly classy your team is and the club and what you've been able to do as a club. You jump on.
Just want to shout out to my little mate Taryn. We know you'll be back bigger and better. We bloody love you, Taz. Lastly, to the Broncos club, led by Dave, to the girls, to Princey, to Paul, we bloody love yous. Let's party. Hey.
Take it over to you, girls. The co-captains taking over the Premiership trophy to celebrate their moment. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for your 2025 NRLW Premiers, the Brisbane Broncos.
As the Broncos prepare to party after a sensational grand final win, Upton and Brigginshaw holding up the trophy high for the club's 4th premiership. What a game it was and what a classy response it was from both teams and a wonderful game for all of us to watch. I have to say a big thank you to Taylor Preston, Kira Dibb and Yasmin Clydesdale. Congrats to all of you on a wonderful season. It's been us that have been the lucky ones. The NRLW absolutely rocks. We'll see you again next year.